Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Professor. So, Group 1 will be presenting a pestle analysis presentation for a beekeeping company called Caspian Apiaries. In introduction, we will be discussing about history and employee-employer relationship, pestle analysis, product and services, also the commitment part. Caspian Apiaries was established in the year 2000 and with the effective motive of effective pollination and the greater honey production. In pestle analysis, the company has been affected with various factors. The most important factor is the environmental factor, as they have to keep the bees safe. Moving forward, we will be discussing in details about all the factors. About the products, the major factors are the products are the honeys, and they also help in crop pollination, such for berries, almonds, and it is being imported to the US and Canada. They also provide services related to disease control, population growth, etc. The strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. These are divided into internal and external factors. Strength and weaknesses are the delicious and healthy products which are provided by a company at affordable prices. And the weaknesses can be the health and hygiene negligence. If there is any, it can lead to a poor packaging and lead to various product wastages. Forces, it is the force which affects more in this organization, as summer and the springs are the optimum time for the beekeeping process because they are able to produce more in this, whereas the winter season has very low growth of honey at the production of honey in winters. Caspian Apiaries follows the measures in order to have a safe and healthy productions. So I'll be moving to Zian for further slide details.
Thank you, Amandeep. Hello, everyone. I will be talking about the ethics and CSR responsibilities of Caspian Apiaries. Ethics and CSR are one of the most significant part of any business organization. It helps a business to grow and have a sustainable future. Looking from an ethical point of view, Caspian apiaries produce their honey in an ethical manner, like they do not use any adulteration or add preservatives to improve the taste of the product. It is important for them to produce unadulterated honey because the product has to go through several tests which rates the quality of the honey produced. Producing high quality honey benefits the society as well. It helps Caspian apiaries to maintain a high level of CSR, which ultimately helps them expand their consumer base. Next slide, please. Moving on to the economic factors. Economic factors affect the profitability of a business organization. Talking about the beekeeping industry, Canada produces more than 70 million pounds of honey each year. That makes it one of the top honey producers in the world. Alberta exports the highest amount of honey in Canada. Caspian apiaries' profit margin is mainly affected by two reasons. Firstly, its export rates, and secondly, the strict government policies. More than 50% of the honey produced by Caspian apiaries is exported throughout the world. So if the export duties are high, it will affect their earnings. The local government does not provide much assistance to these beekeeping businesses, so this ultimately affects the Caspian apiaries' profit maximization. Now my teammate Dharinder will take you through the political and technological factors. Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Hello, everyone. So today I am talking about the political forces. First one, I want to talk about the trade agreement between the countries. Trade agreements between the countries are very important to export and import things between the nations. Like Canada has only one trade agreement between Canada, USA, and Mexico, which is called NAFTA. Like the major exporter of the honeys are European nations like Germany, France, and UK. So Canada does not has any trade agreement between these countries. So this affect the exportation of honey from Canada to these nations. Second one is not any immigration route for export workers from countries like from other countries. So like if Canadian farmers want to hire some expert from the countries like Turkey and Iran, so they don't have any options or any immigration stream or routes in which they can recruit these exports from these nations. So these are the technological forces that affect the honey bee industry in the country. First one is harvesting and processing methods. Like harvesting and processing methods affect the growth of bees in hives, and this directly impacts on the production and the quality of honey bees produce. Like in Canada, if we compare to these methods to the other nations, Canada has not very good methods of harvesting and processing the honey. So second one is the implementation of agrochemicals. Like farmers these days have used these pesticides to kill the insect and pest from the farms. These agrochemicals are not good for the bees. They stop the growth of the bees, and they increase the pollution levels in the environment, and this affects the growth of bees, and it directly affects the honey production. Thank you. Now Kamal will take over from this.
And thank you, Dhirinder. I'm going to present global forces. Global forces have great impact on the beekeeping industry. There are six global forces: economic, social, technology, competitor, social, and environmental. First one is economic factor. Economic factor has great influence on the beekeeping industry due to the pandemic. The closing of border influenced the shipping between the two countries. Next one is the technology factor. Technology factor has great impact on the beekeeping industry. It become easy due to the technology, like centrifuges are used for producing wax, and furnaces for melting wax, and some tractor and multi-family electric framework are used for lifting heavy boxes. Social factor. Beekeeping the social factor, there are three main. Bees are going through the product cycle of pollination: queen bee, drone bee, and worker bee. They all work together for the pollination. Next slide, please. Next is a competitive force. There is a many competitor in the beekeeping industry. They all provide the honey at the affordable price. Kashmir Asbury always makes strategies to make strategy and plans to compete these competitors. They always provide tasty and healthy honey to their consumers. Political forces. Government should give some funded to the beekeeper farming so that they can give more interest into beekeeping. And the last one is environmental forces. We are very useful for the environment, for the wildlife, biodiversity, and crop pollinations. They are also useful as a source of food for the small insects, and hives are useful for their homes. And next slide, please. Next slide, please. Sustainability. Beekeeping is a form of agriculture. There is no detriment effect on the environment. They always give some indeed reason to control the negative habitat. Sustainability also give the great long-term success for the beekeeping industry. Thank you so much. Next one, they're going to introduce history and social forces.
Thank you, Komal. Hello, Professor. Now I'm going to discuss about industry history and employee-employer relationships. If I talk about Caspian Enterprises, was first established to help appraisers and individuals globally. After that, Caspian Enterprises offer bee management, apitherapy, and biological diseases control. With a focus on berry and almonds pollination, Caspian Enterprises was founded in 2000 in Delta, British Columbia, which is also home of beehive operation in both Canada and in the United States. If I talk about colonies, this industry over 20,000 colonies, which is a 100 Caspian Enterprises farm, honeybee farms, as a demand of pollinations, almond, blueberries, cranberries. Has also opened their new branches over the Canada and United States. If I talk about employee-employee relationships, they provide their employee to provide feedback, reviews, and maintain communication on their issues and needs to provide them a favorable work environment. Next slide, please. Thank you. The culture of society, if I talk about another factor, social forces, there are two social forces. First is gender, and second one is behavior and beliefs. The culture of society in terms of behavior and beliefs impact the cultures of a company in an environment to great extent. In other words, these types of external factors are mainly connected toward the fashions, trends, as well as taste in the society. In terms of the future prospect in the social segment is that they can use the gender composition in the labor market for understanding the liberal nature of the society in which it is operating rights of the woman and also say of women in the matter of this societal problem and also the decision of consumptions. It is quite evident that the gender composition of the labor market. Thank you. Now my friend Leah will go with another part and also conclude this presentation. Thank you.
Hello, Professor. Now I'll be talking about the legal factors. The legal factors that are considered in the beekeeping industry are that the CFIA, that is the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, they identify the sources from where the honeybees are imported, and they even undertake rules and regulations for food security in their industry. Next slide, please. Now, to talk about the risk, one of the risks is the management of crops. That's the main risk which is faced in the beekeeping industry. So management of crops, that is the storage of sweet honey in insufficient containers, and their exposure to dust, pests, and rodents are one of the challenges. And they even face challenges in the transportation too. Another one is the deforestation. The deforestation actually causes loss for the honeybees diversity. The final one is the horticulture crop. They are actually the common among the farmers, and the farmers use various chemical pesticides in order to avoid weeds and diseases. Next slide, please. Now, to talk about the recommendations, some recommendations should be undertaken by the industry to overcome these problems, which includes regulations which need to be driven by the government for governing the handling and marketing of storage of honeybee and honeybee products. Safety inspections should be done in order to check the agrochemicals used in agriculture production, and finally to avoid deforestation, because forest environment is a homeland for many different breeds of honey. Next slide, please. Now, moving on to the conclusion, therefore, beekeeping companies are struggling due to the current economic situation, and they actually need to slightly grow their client base, and they need to maintain the current customers, and they even need to strengthen their business in order to face some uncertainties if they occur in the future, and thereby if they following these measures, they can actually achieve the organization goal effectively and efficiently. Thank you, and with this we come to the end of the presentation.